The Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law in striking down the excessive use of nationwide injunctions to interfere with the normal functioning of the executive branch.
Oh, activist judges better think twice now before trying to derail the will of the people with nationwide injunctions. Justice Clarence Thomas is sick of it, writing, quote, "Lower courts should carefully heed the court's guidance. If they cannot do so, this court will continue to be duty-bound to intervene."
And he's not the only one. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, writing the majority opinion, firing back at Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who claimed this ruling is a, quote, existential threat to the rule of law. Quote, "We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself."
Ouch. Well, in short, the Supreme Court has given Trump the green light he needed to execute the agenda Americans voted for in November.
This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades, and we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century together. We can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore.
Joining us now is 1792 Exchange CEO and former Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Daniel, it's great to see you.
Great to see you, Tommy.
So, everyday Americans watching this today, first of all, a lot of folks thought, hey, we're going to get a ruling on birthright citizenship, and they were really excited about that one. Obviously, that's going to take a while. We're told October. But for everyday Americans who voted for Donald Trump, and they've seen these activist judges really delay their will and what they voted for, can you tell them, is this going to speed up the agenda a little bit? Is this just going to green light it? What do they have to now wait for to get the things that they voted for to come to fruition?
Well, guys, this is, as President Trump talked about, a great day for America. These were decisive victories for the Trump administration in support of his policies against rogue judges that were issuing these nationwide injunctions. And so what we have now is an environment where the policies that Americans voted on in November of last year, the president can start executing on those without worrying about judges in California or Massachusetts or in far left districts gumming up the process simply because they want to put politics over our Constitution and over the law. So again, this is an exciting day. And you mentioned, Justice Thomas was mentioned earlier, you know, his birthday was earlier this week. And rather than us giving him a present, he gave the American people a present with some of his writing here. And obviously, Justice Barrett, man, you talk about a smackdown. That was a judicial smackdown that we saw in her legal opinion and legal writings here as it relates to other justices on the court. So today's a great day for Americans who voted for a president that was going to fight tooth and nail for them and make sure to keep our country safe and focus on making this country the best it can be for American citizens.
Just to add before we move on to what Justice Barrett wrote, Justice Jackson would do well to heed her own admonition. Everyone from the president on down is bound by the law. Ibid, that goes for justices too. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. But I want to move. I want to move on to the Supreme Court ruling in favor of the Maryland parents in a challenge to these mandatory. It was mandatory LGBTQ reading curriculum. All of these parents, and these were Muslim, Catholic, and Orthodox parents, they wanted to opt out, and Montgomery County would not allow them. And this Supreme Court decision is a victory for religious freedom and parental rights. And if you go into what some of these books were that were mandatory reading for, say, 5th graders, they had to learn what non-binary meant. Other children were required to learn that doctors only, quote, guess when determining a newborn's sex.
Dagan, not only was this a big day for President Trump, but this was a big day for millions of American parents who simply don't want their kids to go to school and then be contradicted in terms of what they are learning at home. And when it comes to religious liberty, I mean, the parents in Maryland got a overwhelming victory. There's a lot of, look, parents that want to teach traditional and Christian values, and to have Montgomery County try to undo that at school, frankly, with issues that parents should be discussing with their children as opposed to a government educational system. This is, again, a big deal, and glad to see it.
And the 3 liberal justices said this decision would cause chaos in the school system. Again, they're not about legal analysis, they're about social justice. Daniel Cameron, great to see you.
You guys too. Thanks.